Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty well. Everything is fine on this one. The weather is incredibly hot. I'm melting just because I did an interview a while ago, and they were asking me, "Are you like sick or something?" I'm like, "No, I'm just melting. It's very hot here." So
It's
it's
hot
like,
here too. It's hot here
well,
too. I
that's
think
perfect.
we're all going through a hot season right now.
I love it. I 100% love it because I've been looking for a reason to open a nice bottle of cold gin and to put
Oh,
some
okay.
isotonic and some fresh lemon. I've been looking for a reason to do it. I mean, I can do it without a reason too. I'm a big boy, but it's always
Right.
better to have a reason.
Right.
And with that said, the program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? How did you know that this was the way to go? So, Diane, tell us what you do for a living, please.
Okay, what I do for a living. I am a
Sorry, can you
consultant.
speak a little bit louder for me, please?
Oh, wait a minute. Let
Yeah.
me Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay. I'm closer to my mic.
All right.
Okay, that's probably better, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. I am what you call a whole living consultant, and that covers work with people. It's a mind, body, spirit, um, holistic type of work. And what that means is I teach people inner tools and strategies to help them create lives that they truly want. So that means I teach courses. I do holistic coaching. I also am the founder of a online community and a podcast called Plant-Based Curious, because what I've learned is food has a whole lot to do with our mind, our body, and our
Yeah,
spirit. Healthy food. And
unhealthy too, in all
yeah,
fairness.
yeah, in all fairness, but uh, I'm 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 moving in the flow of what makes us healthy mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Uh, and in the midst of that, I'm pretty sure you've heard that joke before. One guy, the two fellas are talking to one another, and one says, "Well, we are what we eat," and the other guy was smiling like he's like, "Oh, by the way, sorry, I didn't catch your name. Who are you again?" The other guy said, "I'm Hannibal Lecter."
That is funny.
That was yeah, it was a little bit dark, but that was pretty good. I mean, so were you like walking on the street one day and you were like, let me be that kind of a consultant or something because as you know the second question is how did you get there? Well, I mean, in all fairness, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no way you could have done any of this if you yourself were not a people's person. If you were like more technically oriented, I'm not saying the tech guys are not people's person. I hope you know what I'm referring to. But if you really deep down weren't people's person, if you really deep down didn't actually care more like about people than about things and stuff, I don't think you would have been able to be doing this.
Well, you're absolutely right. I didn't even see it coming. I, at that time, was a busy consultant, systems engineer, totally stressed out in a high demanding career as a single
Burnout as well.
mom. So that is how I started. And at a very young age, my health started declining because I had no tools, no idea of how to take care of myself. So I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, uh, to the point where my doctor was saying, if you really don't get it together, basically, down the road, you'll probably have a heart attack or a stroke. So, with that said, I just started exploring ways of how can I take care of myself. And what does it even mean to be well? What does that mean? So just educating myself, going through the trials and tribulations of life, just starting to read, starting to go to workshops, meeting exciting teachers, which all that reading led to. And back then they didn't have YouTube and all those things, so you
So
literally
when did
had
you
to read
start it?
books. Pardon?
When did you start it? You like 2005, six something?
Oh God, no. It was probably maybe latter part of the 90s.
Nice.
Yes. And it wasn't that I said, "Oh, I'm going to learn all this stuff and teach people." I was just trying to get myself together.
Yeah.
But what happened along the way, people started asking me questions because they saw how, I was changing, I was becoming more healthy, and I was learning how to really sustain the work that I was doing at the time. So, yeah, it was a long journey. I had no idea I would be doing this work, but you know what? Each time I help someone, I just get such a true, good feeling about supporting people. When I learn something, I like to share, which is why I teach, which is why I coach, and which is why I always have some type of community.
Well, in all fairness, from what I'm understanding and hearing, and from what I checked in the resume and everything, that's basically your calling. So,
Yes, yes, it
yeah,
is.
it's natural for you to feel that way. You remind me of a story. I don't remember exactly who told it. I heard it so long ago. I think it was an actor or a musician telling about a good friend of his, and his friend got a heart attack,
Mm.
and he was hospitalized. And then when the guy went to the hospital to see his friend, said, "How are you doing?" He said, "Best sleep I've had in decades." Like the guy was working so hard that he had to have a heart attack to get some sleep. So, and that's not even amusing. Fairness, that's a grim reality. And exactly what you said, because if you've noticed, the world has never been so dynamic. In a matter, I'm actually grateful for COVID because it kind of hit the brake a little bit.
It did.
And it allowed a lot of people to actually stop and take a good look at themselves. So I'm really happy about that. I'm pretty sure the folks that died weren't very happy about it, but then again, it is.
Yeah.
So that you do remember, and I'm also happy that in a matter that you went through this, because if you didn't, you wouldn't have been able to help so many people these days. So yeah, what you went through was pretty rough, but in the end of the day, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Right, even though at the time, it didn't feel that way, but I also feel that the people that I work with, that I meet, uh, they're like a mirror for me, to remind me of what I need to keep doing for myself. So it really works out. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
With that kind of work, I've noticed that it's not always, but like 99% win-win of the situations, because
Yes. Yeah.
definitely. And folks like you, I've spoken to a couple of folk like you. That's what I love about you, because every time when you coach someone, when you navigate someone, actually you learn from them as well.
Yeah.
It's not one-way street. You learn
That's
from them
right.
as well.
It's always a learning opportunity. It really
100%.
is.
The
Yes.
third
Yeah.
question is, how did you knew that this was the way to go? Now, the reason I'm asking is because, and I'm pretty sure you've noticed that too, lately, especially in Europe, but I'm certain it's not only in Europe. Folk tend to go to colleges and universities, and they don't actually know why they're there. That stigma that you gotta go over there to get a diploma and secure your future. First of all, that was never true, and I'm not against colleges and universities. I have a college degree, a master's degree. I'm about to start PhD in September. Obviously, I'm not against them. I'm highlighting the fact that when you increase the quantity, you reduce the quality. That's always, even in today's educational system. Now they go over there, they get the diploma, and fairness, we even have a joke here that the only reason that universities have walls around them is because the street dogs are going over there and taking too much diplomas. Now we have to. It's basically like that. So, and once you get out of there with that diploma, they're starting jobs that are clearly are not for them. And I'm not insulting anybody. I'm just highlighting an existing problem. And when you start a job that it's not for you, and I'm sure you have those examples in your coaching career as well, from my experience, if you're doing something 8, 10, or 12 hours a day and you don't like it and you're miserable, and you're going to be miserable when you get back home. And I'm not talking about the IT guys. They can hate their jobs as much as they want, but at the end of the month, when you see that paycheck, you're pretty fine with it. But this is an isolated case. This is 0.1%. I'm talking about in general. And that's why I'm asking people, how did you know this was the way to go? And that's why I wanted you so badly here, because as you said, you started in one career, you realized it wasn't for you. I'm pretty sure, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure you would have been a miserable person if you stayed there and you didn't do what you're doing right now.
Well, I can tell you I did all of that. I
Yeah.
had a career I didn't like. I've been miserable a lot early in my career. But here's the thing, many people, including me, you have no idea what you want. No idea. Maybe you're taking a college program because your father did it, your mother did it,
Yeah.
or someone said you were good at it. It takes time to really figure out who you are. A lot of people complete college and they end up doing other things.
A lot of them.
And I had no idea, like I said earlier, that the work I do now was what I was going to do. It was over time. It was a process. And the reason I know that it was what I was supposed to do, I felt so good about it. I became lighter in a sense that I felt happy. I felt
You're not carrying
happy.
the burden. You're not carrying
Right,
the negativity.
right. Yes, just getting lighter and lighter and lighter over time, and just being able to give and support people right where they are just gave me so much joy. So that's how I knew, because inside I was happy. Inside it brought me joy.
I love that reply. And the reason I love it, just when you said, the inside thing, you can be the best actor or actress on the planet. You can be the most talented liar the world has ever known, but you just cannot lie to yourself. You can fool everybody that you're happy and everything, but if you cannot feel it within, and that you can never escape yourself.
That's a true point. And just in all of the work I've done, and when I was younger, maybe I had a lot of self-doubt, or
Venice, you look like you're 35.
well,
So
thank you.
yeah, that's what when I was younger. How much younger?
But the self-doubt and the lack of confidence just improved over time. It's like I figured out who I was and what I'm supposed to be doing on the planet. So once I saw that, then that just changed my life totally, because when you're doing what you love to do, it's not even work. It really isn't work.
Absolutely. It's pretty good that you said that you knew yourself. This is actually the motto of the platform that I created, because you know losing money, and the universities in Europe are basically cheap, like dirt cheap. Like my PhD will cost me about a little bit less than a little bit like around 450 euro, which is like 500 US dollars, and that's for the
Really?
PhD.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to consider this as a spending, because
Right.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But the point is that folks are losing time while they're figuring themselves out.
That's right. Yeah,
And
and yeah, it takes as long as it takes. I mean, if you don't go through the trials and tribulations, I mean, the challenges is what helps to teach us things, you know, that those things help us to
no, I couldn't
learn
agree
about
more.
ourselves. Yeah, yeah.
Do you happen to have any tips, tricks for the folks, and how do they get to know one another? How does one get to know oneself better?
Well, a lot of it is, and I tell you, the first thing is to be okay sitting with yourself in silence without the TV, without social media, without the phones. Because a lot of times, if we're sitting, then we hear those voices and not to run and get something to a glass of wine to distract you, but just to sit with yourself. Sit with yourself and really see what comes up. That's the first
Absolutely.
thing. That's the first thing I would say do.
That's an
Because
excellent thing
yeah,
because there's this my favorite German philosopher Eckhart Tolle. Uh,
yeah,
and,
mine
and
too.
yeah, I love it. He often said like observe your thoughts but never
That's
believe them.
right.
Right. So
Well, and that's a practice too to get to where you don't believe them, but just sitting with yourself. Because if you sit with yourself in the silence, you might remember what you loved to do maybe when you were a kid. You Something may come forward that you hadn't thought about in a long time. And that's without all the noise and the chatter, in your environment. So it's really sitting with yourself and really thinking about what do I love? Or just asking yourself the question, who am I? And just stopping it right there and just be excited and at peace to hear what might come forward in terms of an
remarkable.
answer. Yeah.
And in all fairness, it's even funny because just it costs absolutely nothing just to sit there and be with yourself in a silence and just to be aware of the moment. It really doesn't cost you a penny.
Well, it might cost some people because some people don't want to sit in silence because they don't want their truth or what might come up. They're not ready. They say I'm not ready, but man, to just sit there and ask that question, who am I, and see what comes forward, you can get to the other side of what you don't want to come
Absolutely.
forward. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
actually reminds me of the example of the ego, and I had a lot of colleagues that really hated their job. Like this thing aside, I'm actually an audit specialist. I've been in a financial department all my life.
Okay.
That's what I graduated in high school, bachelor and master degree, and that's the PhD I'm doing now. So
Okay.
I've been doing only this since basically,
Okay.
and it's an awesome job, but it's not for everybody. And they really, I got colleagues that really hated it, and like, why are you torturing yourself? Like at this point, the devil can give you the key to hell and go to Costa del Sol to have a nice drink in Spain. Like he's on vacation, you're doing all the job for him. And like, well, if I leave the office, if I'm not in the company, people gonna think I'm a failure or something. So it's like the element of the wounded ego, and people are always going to think bad stuff about you because that's who we are. People are messed up in general. People aren't doing it on purpose because they hate you. They're doing it because they're messed up. I'm not insulting again. I'm not insulting anybody, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you do. So the element of the ego, I think people are, when they're sitting in silence, I think they're able to see the element of ego, and sometimes it's just scary. So
Yeah.
sometimes they just don't want to do it.
Exactly. And you're absolutely correct. It is fear. But if you sit with that fear, that's how you get your answers because guess what? That will pass. If you
Yeah,
sit with the fear, it will pass. It might feel really bad in the moment, but it will pass. So how do you get past that fear? and really start thinking about who am I? Who am I really? And you'd be surprised at what starts coming forward.
Absolutely, 100%. With that said, Dan, thank you for being with me. That was an awesome interview, and you had so much to share. Please, once we're done, give me all of the links in social media. I would love to put them in the description below in case folk like to contact you or something.
All right. Thank you so much, Denny.
No worries. Have a nice day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.